This is the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport in GSR spec. It's the top dog in the new updated lineup, and that update includes 18-inch alloys across the range, as well as styling tweaks to the exterior and the interior, as well as some new exterior paint choices. But with the next generation Pajero Sport on its way, is this worth your consideration? Well, that's what we're here to find out, so stick around. As I mentioned, our test vehicle is a GSR. It's a 7-seat four-wheel drive wagon, and it has a price tag of just under $65,000, but that excludes on-road costs. Standard features in this updated GSR include the 8-inch multimedia touchscreen. That's the same size as always, and it's too small for my liking, but it does have Apple CarPlay and it does have Android Auto. You also get front and rear parking sensors, and with this latest update, it now has this black and burgundy synthetic leather, and that adds a nice low-key classy touch to the interior. Exterior paint choices include white, red and grey, and depending on the spec that you do buy, you can also get a black roof. But remember, for even more details, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. In terms of design, the Pajero Sport retains that distinctive Pajero Sport styling, and that's okay, but now there's a lot of black everywhere. There's black wing mirrors, black alloys, black door handles. It's splashed all over the place and it looks pretty good. As well as that, there have been tweaks to the front and rear, and if you are a Pajero Sport fan, then I'm pretty sure you'll be happy with those. In terms of practicality, nothing has changed with this update. The Pajero Sport cabin is still very functional, very practical. Front seats, nice and comfortable. Second row, not too bad, but the third row, I wouldn't like to be stuck back there because it is a very straight up and down proposition, not so comfortable, but that's in the grand tradition of 7-seat four-wheel drive wagons. In terms of cargo space at the rear, there isn't a whole hell of a lot with all three rows in use, but that's an easy fix. You just fold that third row down and it opens up a fair bit more room in here. There are tie-down points and there is a 12-volt power socket. All in all, it's a usable, practical space, if a little bit cramped. The Pajero Sport has a 2.4 litre four-cylinder turbo diesel engine, and that produces 133 kilowatts and 430 newton meters, and that engine is matched to an 8-speed automatic transmission. This is a solid but lackluster combination. It's very truck-like, it's very agricultural, and it takes a fair bit of heavy right foot to get it going, especially off the marker if you're going to overtake someone. But you know what? I still like it because I still like that traditional feel to the setup. It does have Mitsubishi's Super Select four-wheel drive system, and that's a full-time system, and this vehicle does have a rear diff lock. The Pajero Sport is reasonable on-road, and like any other modern-day four-wheel drive, it has improved over time in terms of refinement and ride and handling, all those sorts of good things. But off-road, it has always been a reliable vehicle, a reliable four-wheel drive wagon, a great touring platform. And that's due to a number of factors, and one of those really crucial factors is the fact that the Pajero Sport has Mitsubishi's Super Select four-wheel drive system on board, and it's a great system. Via a dial, you can work your way through two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive high range, four-wheel drive high range with the center diff locked, and four-wheel drive low range with the center diff lock. And the Pajero Sport also has a rear diff lock, so you can call on all of those things to help you get through and up and over a lot of difficult terrain. And this vehicle also has driving modes: mud and snow, gravel, sand and rock when you're in low range four-wheel drive. And all of those modes each tweak throttle response, engine, acceleration, all of those to best suit the terrain you're on. And while it's not the greatest four-wheel drive on the market, it's a real solid, reliable performer. It's not the best in terms of power or torque, and it's not the best in terms of off-road angles or any of those sorts of things, but it just does all of those things and more so well that all round it's a very decent four-wheel drive. As mentioned, it doesn't have the most power or torque in the modern market, but what it does have, it uses really well. It's got a tractable engine. It's got a pretty cluey automatic transmission. There's enough torque across a good spread of revs to keep the Pajero Sport moving, keep that all-important traction, that momentum, and it just keeps trucking along. And another thing, it is quite a nimble four-wheel drive. You can tiptoe your way through some trickier, more technical rock sections. It does, however, feel a little bit low. Again, it doesn't have the best ground clearance or the best off-road angles. In fact, it's probably down the lower end of the scale, but if you drive it with consideration, if you drive it with concentration and focus, then you're going to be fine. One aspect of this vehicle that is a bit of a letdown, but it's true of most contemporary four-wheel drives, is the fact that it rolls out of the showroom with tyres that are better suited to sealed surfaces and light duty off-roading than they are to hard, difficult, technical four-wheel driving. But luckily in this day and age, that's an easy fix. You just find yourself a set of aggressive all-terrain tyres, and if you're planning to do regular touring, regular off-roading, then they're your better bet than the standard showroom tyres. In a car market swamped by car-like refined four-wheel drives, the Pajero Sport is a refreshing change. The fact that Mitsubishi has retained the character of the Pajero in spirit, a body-on-frame four-wheel drive with real off-road capability. Sure, it's a bit of a rough rider on sealed surfaces and on tracks, and sure, it gives away a fair bit in terms of power and torque to its rivals, but it does everything so capably, not so fantastically well. It really is a quiet achiever, but you just have to give it some credit. Fuel consumption for the Pajero Sport is listed as 8 litres per 100 kilometres, and that's on a combined cycle. On this test, I did a lot of high and low range four-wheel driving, and I recorded an actual fuel consumption of 9.8 litres per 100 kilometres. Now, the Pajero Sport has a 68 litre fuel tank, so going by my on-test figures, you could reasonably expect a driving range of about 695 kilometres out of a full tank. The Pajero Sport is covered by a 10-year, 200,000 kilometre warranty, and cap price servicing for that 10 years also applies. But both of those factors are only applicable if you do have your vehicle serviced at a Mitsubishi dealership. Servicing schedules are set at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever occurs soonest. The Pajero Sport range did have the maximum 5-star ANCAP safety rating, but that expired in January 2023. But having said that, it does have airbags all round and a stack of driver assist tech, including AEB, blind spot warning, lane departure intervention, and a whole lot more. For even more details, make sure you read my full written review at carsguide.com.au. The Pajero Sport has always been reasonable on road, and it's still always been a very effective four-wheel drive. This is a proven touring platform, and while the latest update doesn't add a whole lot to the package, it's likely enough to tempt those who aren't patient enough to wait for the next generation Pajero Sport to arrive here. But what do you reckon? Have your say in the comments section below.